Welcome to the Protein Bros podcast. On today's episode, we have a great guest. It is Miles Chapo Johns. He is a UFC fighter that fought just last weekend in the Apex in Las Vegas. He is a guy who has a 14-2-1 record and has been fighting in the UFC for the last 5 years. We had a great conversation with him. If you are interested in what it's like to be a UFC fighter, as far as the mentality goes, as far as the training goes, as far as the cutting weight goes, this is such an interesting episode. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And now let's get to the episode. Let's talk about your last fight. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Heard you got a super short notice on that.
2 weeks?
Yeah, dude, 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
Is that the shortest notice you've ever had?
It is. I don't know. I had one before that was just about that. I can't remember which one was longer, but they're just about the same. So
That's just a gangster move, dude.
Dude, it's really pretty. Like, there's a part when you first get in, you're like, oh yeah, like I've been ready for this, let's ride. And you accept it, and then you watch film and you see, like, you wrap your head around the fact that you're going to be fighting in 2 weeks. And there's a little bit of fear. There's like one night of fear, but it just takes me one night of fear. Then I wake up in the morning, I get after it, and like 2 days, I'm freaking ready to fight. I'm like, let's go.
What's the advantage, outside of obviously like fight shape, if you will, what's the advantage of having a longer camp?
I mean, it's mostly shape. You get more time to run a game plan. You know, if you're dealing with a super tricky guy or whatever, you get time to run a game plan so you can. I mean, there's advantages of that, but there's disadvantages also. I mean, I got a family, I got a wife, 4 kids. Like, a really long camp is just grueling because I'm checked out. You know what I mean? Like, mentally, like, I'm waking up with that dude, walking around with that dude all day, going to bed with that dude. Like, I get hyper focused when I got to fight. So I know that I'm checked out for a long time. So these short notice ones.
Your wife likes a short notice fight. Then.
She likes the short notice fights, bro. She likes it. And I just get to hop up. I'm like, okay, I gotta grind like as hard as I can grind for a week and a half. We freaking go to Vegas. We cut the weight. My wife's there the whole time with me. We beat this dude up, and then we come back and like they send us the check in my bank account. It's like, it's pretty wild that I'm able to just do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all in a day's work, you know what I mean?
So, so you said you cut weight. You know, a lot of people, you know, if you're not very well versed on like fighting or any kind of like sports like that, they don't understand that most fighters, when they watch them on TV, they're not even close to being the fight that or the weight that they walk around at. And so, a lot of times, taking a 2-week fight, a lot of people can't do that because they're 30 pounds heavier, you know. Well,
right.
30 pounds, some people can water cut that. But like, what is your weight, you know, at 2 weeks out from what it needs to be at?
Yeah,
I was 30 pounds over.
Yeah.
I was more like 28. I was sitting right around 162, 163. But I'm always about that. Like, even when I'm training, when I have a fight, if I have an 8-week fight, I'm training hard and I may get down to like 160 and 158. But if I'm eating as much as I need to eat to train as hard as I train, that's what I'm going to walk around at until about the last 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'm going to really start shedding a lot. So, and it works for me. You know, a lot of it is water. I am pulling a lot of water from my muscles. Excuse me. But I also, but a lot of it's like fat throughout the process. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get below that. So
yeah, dude, you get shredded. Luke, pull up a picture of him. Like, you get shredded, dog.
He just had the, dear God.
You should just go do a bodybuilding show afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it gives me respect for that because I don't know. That'd be really hard.
Look at the quads, dude. The quad separation. Let's go.
Striated quads.
Yeah.
Jeff walks around with striated quads too, but most people can't do that.
That's all I got, dude. I got one trick pony over here.
I'm realizing, like, as these fights go on, I take these short notice ones. I am a little bit crazy. You know, I've always thought, like, this time I thought it was a Celsius. Like, I was drinking these Celsius. I'm like, man, this Celsius really, like, curbs my appetite. Like, I'm ready to go, and I'm freaking killing these workouts only eating like one time a day. And my wife has to remind me, she's like, I just had a Celsius today, and I'm still kind of hungry for dinner. So I think you just got something crazy in your head.
Yeah,
you know, I get in these zones, and we just make it happen, man. It's really fun.
Did you grow up like getting into fights as a kid, or did you grow up like wrestling, or like tell us your background real quick?
I did grow up getting into fights as a kid. I've been in more elementary school fights than I think normal for sure. And I always had an excellent excuse for why I got into the fight. Like, I'd come home with my parents and like, he did this and this. So obviously we had to fight.
There was no choice, Mom.
Right, exactly. But I was also super stoked to always tell him, like, it is funny. I remember winning a fight, even as a kid, was probably the funnest thing to me. And to go home and tell my dad about it, because I could see a little pride in his eyes every time, when I told him about it. So, and it's still the funnest thing to me.
Bro, fighting is like the first time when you're a kid where you get nervous to the point where you feel like you're going to throw up. It's always like, all right, you're going to meet at this park at this time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's 3 right after school's over, and you're like,
nothing better than a planned fight.
yeah,
Dude.
And so you're fucking sitting in class, and you're just like, I know I'm going to beat his ass, but then you're like, am I going to beat his ass?
It's always like on the top of, it's at the top of a hill, like behind the school.
Right.
Where no adults,
chicks are going to be there.
And that's the thing. We've all felt that feeling. And that's why I think UFC is blowing up the way it is, especially when you meet somebody that fights. Then you can be way more emotionally attached to it. Like, this guy, we've all experienced the feeling of we have to have a fight or something, or whatever it is. We all have an attachment. We're all fighters somewhere inside. So somebody, you can attach yourself to them, and then it freaking becomes fun to watch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But yeah, I
also think it's just like the most primal. Like, at the end of the day, if you're a dude, you just like watching fights, because it's like the ultimate. Everyone can relate to it. Everyone knows like a fight. You can watch a fight and not know anything about it technically, not know anything about jiu-jitsu, not know anything about boxing, but you can sit there and kind of have an opinion on it because it's almost like a primal thing.
Exactly. And that was something I learned growing up as a young pro. I would see these young pros, and maybe they would lose a fight. And in my heart, like maybe they were my teammates, and in my heart, I was like, you kind of quit fighting. And then people who don't fight would tell them something like, oh, I think you should have done this. Like, you should have just went after the guy. You shouldn't have stopped. And they'd be like, man, what's this guy talking about, trying to tell me he doesn't know shit about fighting, blah, 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 all this stuff.
Right.
But in reality, they know something about that primal fight, and they could register that you kind of quit, bro, and that's why you lost the fight. And they're just trying to tell you, and they would get mad about it. You can't get mad about that stuff. Like, if that's what happened, if that's the truth, and people are telling you that's the freaking truth, and you better take it and fix it, or you're gonna get exposed again. Like, you can't hide from that. Like,
right.
People
deep
know.
down,
deep down, people will know. Like, if I ever lost a fight, like especially any fight I've lost in the UFC, I really don't think it was talent. I know it wasn't talent. It's because when I step out of the cage and I look at like my family or my wife, in their eyes, they know like, you beat yourself. Like, we know what's happened here. Like, there's no excuse. It's not like, oh, you just got beat by the better guy. You can't.
We were just talking before the podcast started, and we were talking about somebody else we knew that fights, and you were like, if their mental health is good, they'll be good.
Right. Exactly. It's such a huge part to it, Boo.
What's crazy though is like, fighters. It's very easy for somebody who like doesn't do any kind of combat sports to be like, oh, that guy quit. But unless you've been like in the third round after having been fighting for, 15 minutes or whatever it is, and then your lungs are burning, you can't freaking breathe. You also can't see because you're getting blood in your eyes. You're just completely out of it.
Right.
It's like it's very easy to be like, that guy quit.
There's always that part.
You know what
too.
I'm saying? Because it's
like those, you can't feel the leg kicks that this dude just dealt with. Like, you don't know, like leg kicks are serious things. Or there's always things like that to where there's a peanut gallery aspect to it, to where like some people are just in that peanut gallery throwing peanuts anytime they can.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important. It's easy to be like, the guy kind of gave up, but you can also have the opposite. Like the understanding of like, but that is something that I can't even relate to because I'm not even, I can't even walk myself into a jiu-jitsu gym, let alone.
I'm just watching this slow-mo because how awesome it is.
Dude, this dude was so tough. He broke his leg in this fight.
No shit.
Yeah, he
broke
where?
His femur?
His tibia, I think.
Tibia?
Yeah, tibia.
Dear God, dude. Have you had to do that yet? A leg kick that went into a broken bone?
On me?
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet. No.
Oh.
My God.
Yeah. We got you on the knocking. Yeah.
Oh no! On the button, dude. Oh no!
Hey,
sorry, bud.
Back to the primal stuff we were talking about. It's just like with the fight. Did that help you with your confidence growing up, just being a good fighter?
It definitely did. It was such a part of me. And because it was a part of me, when I expressed that part, it helped me grow just like as a person, and as a kid. I remember I had one fight where this kid that was in my grade, he's kind of a bad kid, and we were actually low-key friends. Like, we enjoyed each other's company. We enjoyed fighting with each other when he needed to get anger out. Like, I guess I was the one they knew would beat him up, whatever. But anyway, he made my little brother cry in one scenario. And so I had to go talk to him and stuff. I'm like, you're going to follow me to my house. We're going to fight in my front yard on this day, whatever. And he followed us the whole way. Like, we had a whole walk home. He followed us like a little gangster.
But like at a good, funny distance where it was
like a good distance.
like 20 yards
I would
away.
turn around and be like, you better be following me, bro. He's like, yeah, I'm following you. You know, we get to my front yard. We start fighting. I'm beating the kid up. I didn't even like punching kids in the face that much in street fights, to be honest. I liked wrestling them and holding them down, you know. And my brother comes running down the street, breaking up and stuff, and just so many scenarios like that, you know. But yeah, I wasn't really trying to I didn't even really want to hurt him that bad. Like, I could have punched him in the face, made him bleed, but I didn't have that in me yet. Now I'm trying to hurt you. We signed papers, we're getting paid for this, I'm trying to hurt you. But back then, it was just like a mutual aggression that we both wanted to get out and share. And we became friends after that. He was the type of kid that was like, you got me this time, but not next time. Shake hands on it. Like one of those kids.
That's cool. Yeah, you gotta respect that.
You gotta respect that, you know. And then I kept him from bullying other kids, because if he was ever picking on kids, I'd be like, Grady, like, we're gonna fight, you know. That was his name. I remember his name, Grady Nadeau.
I wonder what he's doing now.
I wonder what he's doing now. I hope he's doing all right, you know.
Well,
I wonder if kids still do that nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
point.
Like, when I think about like high school,
has
for
the
me,
bullying shit stopped it? Do we know, like, all the anti-bullying campaigns? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does no kids
well,
fight
you
anymore?
know, if I think back to like all the fights that were happening to me during that time frame, or like that I was around, it was like people would square up like that and you would fight, and then it was just kind of over. You know, like, it's not like you're going to fight again. It's like, all right, well, now it's just that confrontation's over, and then life goes on, right?
Yeah, dude, in my high school, we had a thing my junior and senior year, and I kind of attest my fight energy to it now. You know, like, I'm happy looking back, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had a part in that. We had a thing that was called Fight Friday, to where on every single break for like 6 or 8 Fridays in a row, there was a fist fight that broke out on like the break where people were in lockers just hanging out or whatever. We had like a 15-minute. It happened so much that the principal had to stop giving us our 15-minute break, and they're like, because of Fight Friday, we are no longer gonna have our 15-minute break. Like, it was crazy, and it was just, I don't know. It was pure, dude. It was really too.
You said junior, senior year?
My junior and senior year, yeah.
So during that time of Friday, like, did it take on like a world of its own at school? Because you're still calling it that, right?
Dude, it did. Like,
so
if you go to anybody in my class and you're like, you remember Fight Friday? They'll be like, dude, of course I remember Fight Friday. Our football coach was our history teacher, and he'd come in on Friday mornings in the early class. He's like, well, wonder who's fighting today in Fight Friday. Hope it's a good one. Like,
I love that.
Dude, it was so awesome.
Well,
I was never part of it. I never had to fight.
I was going to ask, like, was it one of those things where, like, you know, so many kids would probably use it as like an opportunity to be cool, tried to be, right?
They did.
So it was like they were like fighting over who would be in the fight, I would assume.
Right. And it's almost like they were fighting over stuff that they weren't even fighting. Like, I mean, they were just fighting for their respect. Like,
Right.
I remember, so I'm mixed, obviously. I'm black and Mexican. But growing up, that was a big thing. There's like, there was a little separation in our school.
Sure.
You know, and I remember, and I was on both sides of it. Like, I was friends with country kids. I was friends with black kids. I was friends with everybody. You know, I was right in the middle. And I remember there was one time when a good friend on one side said that so-so called him the N-word, but he called him the C-word, and they were just doing these, but they weren't racist guys. Like, either one of them aren't racist, but it was both just their time that they needed to fight, whatever, for some reason, and I was just right in the middle, and I don't know, it was like I had to separate. I was like, guys, we're not racist. Like, no, like that's not, you know.
We can fight, but we don't need to be going like, we don't need to go there.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, that goes like into a deeper part of it, to where you really realize that a lot of the things people say aren't really how they feel. You know, like, these aren't like, I knew neither side was like technically racist to each other, but they had a lot of built up aggression.
They were just dropping something.
They
to
were just
like,
dropping something to do that and
antagonize the other person.
It got, and I mean, it wasn't as big of a deal then as it is now. It was a big deal, but at the end of the day, I remember the fight broke out, all this and that, and then people kind of apologized, and the two dudes who were throwing the most racist terms at each other ended up like shaking hands and moving on. It was their junior year, and then throughout their senior year, they were fine. They were friends. Like, it was all good. It was something that was in the past. You know, like, it was pure like that, to where the fight really kind of solved the problem. You know what I mean? And then those two sides, it wasn't like that. It was like a group of 5 kids. You know that works in high school.
Sure.
And those two groups weren't battling anymore. It was able for them to just walk around and be like, hey, what's up? Like, it was all good after that.
Yeah, we saw what happened whenever it went too far, and
Right.
It's like we already know how this ends, so now we're just
Right.
cool.
And
yeah, if you have like fights like that, I think, you know, young men especially, in today's world where there's not a lot of like struggle in a young man's life unless they're in some kind of sports. It's like they have to get like aggression out in some capacity in some way. And I think that, you know, fighting can easily take a turn of being bad for a young person. Like when you think about like kids getting jumped, or you think about like weapons being used or things like that, I think that's detrimental, obviously. But like, you know, two kids squaring up, you know, after school or something like that, you know,
I think
there's also,
I wish it could stay with that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish it didn't escalate to violence. And I think if some of these kids trained, some of these kids who have that aggression, who just need to get that energy out, I think if they train, it could help with.
Did you
so
do
much
that
of
as a kid? Like, were you a wrestler? Did you do
I was a wrestler. I
jujitsu
wrestled
or
my whole
anything?
life. And then we did have MMA fights, like with MMA gloves on in my backyard often. I don't even know.
This is a
how.
classic,
How old are you,
classic
Miles?
high school
Dude,
thing
I
to
didn't
do.
even-
How old are you, Miles?
I'm 20. I'm turning 30 on Saturday.
Oh, well, congratulations on that,
you,
dude.
yeah.
That's a fun one. But I'm saying, like, you know, I think you were probably 12, 13 whenever like the Ultimate Fighter hit TV.
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think so.
that?
Yeah,
So
and
it's
I
just-
didn't even watch it. I just heard about it, and I don't know. For some reason, just thought that's something I could do.
MMA, like I'm saying, like I think really took off when that show came out. As far as UFC, obviously that was like well documented as far as how much it grew after the start of that show. But I'm saying in terms of like you fighting at a younger age, training MMA, you know what I'm saying? Like it was hard to find. I felt like
It was.
and it's
It
cool,
was. There wasn't really MMA training for kids.
right? And
Yeah,
so to transition to what Kyle's talking about, I'm saying like, you know, the things that I want to make sure we touch on is one, kids fighting today. I think the real issue with it is now it's all for social media. Like it's all this social media clout. Like kids are recording and everybody starts recording when a fight breaks out versus back then we're all just watching, cheering it on and stuff. Right. But now, you know, I hope that's not the fights that we're talking about, because it's like now if you're a kid and you want to get aggression out, like, well, there's all these amazing outlets, you know, you can go train at a gym and fight for real, you know what I mean? And it'd be controlled and you could get respect out of it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I just wonder what's like, what's going to be the trend, right? Is it going to be more like fights at school with social media, or is it going to be more kids, hopefully, you know, using that aggression in a positive way?
Right. Hopefully it's kids using the aggression in a positive way. And, you know, with the fights at school and the social media part of that, kids just, a problem is like taking it too far as well. You know, kids are taking things too far. I hate seeing videos of people getting bullied and hit, or people getting jumped, and then especially hate violence, weapons being brought into the picture. I mean, that's a whole nother topic to go down. But yeah, I think kids are taking it too far, and it's just
Yeah, that there's that
Losing
girl
the
that
purity
got
of it, you know?
they got her head bashed into the. Did you see that? And it put her in a coma. And it was like I
got her
watched
head
that and I'm
bashed
like,
in?
bro, I've seen a lot of street fights, like guys just going after it, and it was like, whoa, I've never seen somebody take somebody's head and bash it into the ground
because
like
when
that.
when you see something, you want to take it to, like, the natural human instinct is to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But I'm also at the same time seeing out on social media that people are starting to recognize when things are too far, or when you're going too far in any direction, and there's some drawback. So I just always try to stay hopeful that drawback will pull it back, and it'll be more of a fighting is more of a pure thing, you know?
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like, dude, there's all these outlets now. You hate to see like, cause I'll put it this way. It's like, you see people taking things too far. It's like, well, that's just like straight hate. Like that's evil. That's not, there is no purity to that.
There's nothing.
You know?
There's nothing.
There's no respect left.
I never had. There was never a kid in my school that was tough enough and that people knew trained MMA, and he was like certified tough enough, didn't have to prove himself, that he didn't have to fight to show that. But my son's already trained. My 7-year-old, he's already like an assassin, dude. Like he knows his combos, he knows his arm bars, all this stuff. My goal is to make my son so tough that when they're in high school, that they don't have to fight. Like, and people already know his dad's a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
My son's already had one cage fight where they didn't hit in the face. Like, he's already certified, and then that will make these other, like, if they can successfully pull that off. Yeah, look, there's this fight right there. That's crazy. You pulled that up. Dang.
That's amazing,
Man.
dude.
Dude, I was so
What's your
nervous.
son's name?
Major.
Oh, I love
He was
that.
young during this. He was like 4 or 5. Dude, I was so nervous before this fight. It was crazy.
Did he?
He's already ground and
Yeah,
pounded?
he's in the
Ground
red. He's in
pound?
the red hut. Yeah, and they broke it up and they keep going.
Let's go.
If they can successfully pull that off, then other kids could see that and they could emulate that. Like, dang, like what is he doing? Oh, he trains at this gym. And then you build a community at that gym. Like they come and they hang out with Major and train or whatever. And there's 10 of these kids that needed to get that out that are at that gym training. Like that's my ultimate goal, you know.
That's cool, very true, man. It's like they're, you know, now every high school has like assassins running around that you might not know are like can handle their shit. In our high school, it was like, you know, MMA wasn't a thing, you know, when I was in high school. So it was like everyone just equally sucked pretty much at fighting. So.
Right. And once you get to that level, like if I was in high school now, I would never have to fight.
Yeah.
Because I could get out of it anyway. I'd be like, bro, like really? I'm in the UFC. You really want to fight me? And it would get squabbled, you know? So if we have some people running around like that, that could help bring other kids up to want to follow that same, you know?
For sure.
What's going on with, you know, like as far as, you know, your come up when we're talking, you're 29 right now, but when you're like 21, 22, and you're little, I guess, younger in the fight scene, there's always like this category of people that just want to fight just because they feel like fighting at like a bar or something. Mm-hmm. Did people ever like chirp you just because they knew that you liked to fight and they wanted to see if they could measure up?
Absolutely, dude. There's something about my energy, my aura, my face. I think people knew that, like, if there's yeah, I don't know if they knew, if they were looking to fight that night, they knew I was probably gonna oblige in it. So I did deal with some of that. You know, I don't drink now, but I also had to not drink so much because if I had some liquor in me, then I'd be a lot quicker in my younger days to you know, have some fun.
If they wanted to step to you, if you will.
Yep, exactly.
When does you know, I don't know the rules on this, but I feel like it's a long like story and everybody knows this as far as like rumors go. If you're a professional fighter, it's like your hands, if you fight, like it's like a legal weapon or something like that. Is that real?
So I think it is. I mean, I don't know. It is kind of rumor, but
no one's ever challenged you on that though, or anything like.
No, if anything, if it's ever that, I would always let them know that I just want to let you know I'm a professional fighter, and then things usually get curved the other way. But I think by the time I became a pro, I was a little bit past those days. My wife really settled me down.
Sure.
So yeah, she's
good
a good
for her.
woman.
Shout out.
Woman.
What's her name?
Hannah.
Shout out Hannah, dude.
How does
one of those too?
Does Hannah? You know, it's interesting talking about, you know, fighting is. It's so much different. You know, I have no experience in fighting at all, so I can't talk from experience. But
Kyle was a bouncer, to let him lie to you.
No,
he used to beat some dudes' asses, and I would watch. And
this is all not
he
true.
He would beat
That's
some
awesome.
dudes' asses.
The only thing I did
kicked out of a club by 3 bouncers.
probably take
Kyle is
They're
curb
like,
stomp some
hey,
dudes, man.
2, and then 3 of them had me.
This guy has cauliflower ears. I'm gonna need some backup.
That was a real. That was. Hey. Here's story time, real quick. You don't even know this. Kyle used to bounce with Mike the Menace.
That's true.
And with Zach Cummings
Yeah,
at the same time.
So if I had somebody walk
At
in
the
with
same
cauliflower
bar.
ear, I'd
That's a
like,
wide
Zach,
rowdy
Mike,
crew.
you guys
Yeah.
got to come freaking help me out.
Heck yeah.
we got a guy with cauliflower ear down here. I'm gonna need some help.
I watched Mike jump off a speaker one time onto somebody's back and just take him down. It was like the coolest thing ever. I was
Really?
like, dude, I wish I had a video of that.
And Mike was walking around at like 150
Right,
at the
yeah,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so like everybody was second guessing him.
Yeah.
And he's, you know what I'm saying? You know that feeling.
I know that feeling, bro, too well.
I completely got derailed from what I was saying. Basically, what I did as a bouncer is I opened velvet rope so Jeff could walk in and look special.
Hey, Luke, we need you to look up Zan Nightclub closing in Springfield, Missouri, because they just closed over the weekend. Mm-hmm. But this was the infamous bar that Mike the Menace Johnson, Zach Cummings, and Kyle were all bouncing on the same crew at the time.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Look at this place, dude. Just looks like a place where people, drugs are done in this place.
No.
Look at that brick.
Looks like you guys had some fun.
Oh,
Jeez.
man.
Heck yeah.
Those are the days, dude. Zan Nightclub. There was more
Dude, the
Ed Hardy
bouncing days,
belts.
It's crazy.
So many Ed Hardy belts in there.
It's crazy.
You got me completely off what I was saying. No, we're talking about Ed Hardy
You said that
belts.
you didn't get in fights. I was like, yeah, right. You didn't get in fights.
Not
you got in
real
fights
fights.
all the time.
Not real fights. Anyways, I did grow up wrestling. And I always tell people like, dude, wrestling is such a different like animal than like football because you have to walk into a situation and it's just you and there's everybody looking at you and it's just you and another guy.
Right.
And I would guess is doing that in the UFC on the biggest stage is like that on steroids, you know, times like 1,000,000. How does your wife and family deal with that, dude? Like, is your wife the type of person that she gets nervous for you? Is she the one that's like, you're going to beat their ass? You know, what kind of support system is she?
She gets nervous, but she's like the realest voice in my head. You know, she's not gonna lie about anything to me. She's gonna be honest with me, and I really look to make her proud. You know what I mean? Like she has a very good radar for if I gave everything I had, not only in the camp but in the fight. You know, so all I have to do is like look, and I can tell by her eyes and the way she's looking at me on if she's really happy with the performance. And really, I start to revolve, like it's kind of crazy, but some of my career is revolved around like making her know that like I gave like my freaking all, because she is so real with like her. She knows the game, you know, and she knows me more than anything. Yeah, like she, you know, so
I think as a man though, it's like, you know, when you get married, you kind of you're creating a family, and it's like you want to make sure that you're making those that are in your family proud of you. So whether it's in business or whether it's in, you know, athletics, it's like I can understand that, I can relate to that. You want to make the person that you're married to proud of you, and then also, you know, you want to make sure. Do you have 4 sons?
4 sons, yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. You want to make your 4 sons be able to look back at your career, which they're ultimately going to end up watching your fights and looking back at like how you performed. And I'm sure that's a driving factor too, where you're like, I want to make sure that, you know, when my sons watch my fights back, that they can be proud of their dad.
Absolutely. 100%, you know, and yeah, they're really involved in it. So it's cool. And my wife sees all the stuff that goes on like behind the scenes, like through the weight cut, what's hard, what's this, what's that. Like even in this past fight camp, I've never not missed weight. And I took this fight, you know, I said I was about 30 pounds over, 28 pounds over. I started hitting this wall. I mean, I was only eating like once a day. I mean, I'm just eating 12 ounces of chicken a night. In the morning, I'm having a coffee with collagen creamer in it. So it has like 70 calories, 14 grams of protein. But just that, and then just 12 ounces of chicken a night with like a tiny bit of cheese on top. And I'm running more than I've ever ran and stuff. And I hit this part on the scale where I just can't get under 155. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, I should be under 155. Like, I'm looking at my notes from past fights and stuff. It's like it's dropped a little bit faster. And I think I was just hitting a wall. And I do that kind of often, you know. And it was the only time, like, in my head, there's a voice that was like, man, you've never missed weight before. Like, maybe it is short notice, blah, blah, blah. You got to throw that thought away immediately. But, you know, but she's there. She sees that stuff. And she's like, you're going to make, like, I mean, she's the voice of reason. It's like, you're just in a plateau. It's fine. You'll make it, you know. And,
Gets rid of all those self-doubts and so forth.
Those
beliefs.
When you're dieting like that, do you say more than like 10 words to her a day?
Man, it's tough. She actually, this was only 2, obviously. So she took the kids to Branson with her mom, and they were there for about a week. And I was just getting in my zone, you know, doing all my workouts and stuff.
Good call.
That's probably a good move.
Yeah. And then
4 boys, though, man.
It's a lot, you know.
Yeah, man. Just
what's
big
the
ups
age
to her and grandma.
What's the age gaps in them?
They're 7, 5, 3, and 8 months.
Oh, dude, my God.
Like
the Johns boys.
Boom. The Johns boys, bro. And they're a funny crew. Dude.
How awesome.
They're a lot. Yeah. They play. Yeah, there they are. They play so many games. Like they have a fight game that they play where somebody will be at the grocery store. He'll call him up and be like, hey, man, you need anything from the grocery store? No, I got my fight later today, so I'm not eating. I'm just getting ready for my fight. Like they do all that stuff, dude. It's pretty cool.
My gosh, dude, I'm so happy for you. That's a whole nother, I mean, you know, that's a documentary waiting to happen as far as those 4 boys go.
Bro, was your wife trying to get a girl? Is that number 4?
We were, we were trying for a while, but I mean, I think this is the way it's supposed to be.
Man.
It's the way it's supposed to be, dude. Yeah. I can't imagine having.
Are we pushing for 5?
No, not a chance.
No chance.
Not a chance,
dude.
She would have babies forever. Like we've accepted the fact that she's never gonna get to this point where she's like, I'm done having kids. She would just have them forever, but I'm done.
Yeah.
We're done. Yeah.
I love it, dude.
I have 1 boy and I have two older girls, and
nice.
He is a different breed, dude. So
really? Yeah.
I try and imagine solely times 4, and I'm like, oh, dude, your life is crazy.
I think if I would have had girls first, I could have maybe done it, but now I don't even know how I would father a girl.
Yeah,
like I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I have 1 girl that's like a little tomboy. It's like having another boy, and then I have 1 girl that's like, I don't know if she'll ever do any sports. She's
really?
just the sweetest thing ever. So
yeah.
It's, I don't know. Every kid's different, you know.
Every kid's different. You got to take them for how they are, like how they come. It's crazy. Like they're all different. They can be so similar in ways and so different in other ways.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
What do you got, Jeff?
I had so many things I want to talk about, but I'm like letting it go on the, you know, talking about kids. It's like go as far as you want, because you got, you know, you said you're a 7-year-old, a 5, a 3, and 8 months.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
You know, do you foresee them all wanting to get into fighting?
Could your 7-year-old beat up Jeff? Probably. Genetics.
He's getting pretty good. I can, as far as them getting into fighting, I just have no idea. Like as of right now, fighting is something that's going to be part of all of their jobs. Like when they talk about their job, my oldest one is going to be a fighter and a football player. My other one's going to be a fighter and a singer. The other one's going to be a fighter and something else. Like it's all part of their jobs right now. But I do see like my older one likes sports a lot more than my second oldest one.
Sure.
My second oldest one is a little bit more artsy. The one below him is just a beat. I mean, so they're all so different. I'm just going to let it play out. But they're all going to train. They're definitely all going to train, you know. I think that's important. Just like we're gonna let them do all different sports, but I do want them like training jiu-jitsu and just dealing with that type of stress, you know.
I think that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I can't think of very few sports that would test a young man's, you know, character, their strength, their mental toughness, like wrestling or jiu-jitsu or something like that would do.
Yeah,
as a kid.
and wrestling is just through the season, and sometimes it's. I mean, these people take wrestling is serious business. You know, you can't just jump in there for a season and like. I think it's good for every kid to wrestle, but if you can't wrestle, I think jiu-jitsu is like the next best thing. You know, and it's year round. And these kids at Marathon, I also run a kids class at Marathon. I do the kids MMA there on Monday and Wednesdays. These kids they're like some freaking solid kids, dude. Like I look at these kids and I'm just truly amazed because of what people say about kids these days and how bad the world is and blah, blah, blah. There's all that going on. I'm not saying there's not all that going on, but there's some kids out there right now that are freaking high level. Like these are the kids that I want in the world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are at Marathon. I'm just like, man, if my kids can be like this, then like I'm blessed. Like this is what I just pray that my kids can turn out and be like great kids like this, you know? So
very cool, man.
Yeah,
I think it all comes down to the parenting, right? I mean, and obviously you give a lot of cares, you know, when it comes to your kids. And so I think you're on the right track, man. Marathon, speaking of that, that's the gym you train out of currently, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
What's, but you've talked about aspirations of opening your own gym or partnering on a gym.
Yeah. I would love, Trey, like I learned so much from him and I would love to work with him in the future on that. I could see us doing a partnership with it, but yeah, the goal is to open a gym up of my own, in the future. I don't know if he'll be like in this area. We've talked about maybe going, other places too, you know, we'll just kind of see how that goes when that time comes. But yeah, it's what I've always.
Would you want to move to this new spot whenever you would open that, or would that be something you would run remotely?
No, I would move there. I'd move there because when I do a gym, I want it to be like my boys are gonna be growing up. They're gonna we homeschool right now. They're probably we'll see how that goes down the line. But I want them in the gym all the time, helping with things. My wife would be in there. Like it would be definitely a family affair.
Operation.
Yeah, family operation. So
fun, man.
Yeah.
With that being said, you know, what is it that you feel like, you know, like would you run it very similar to how Marathon is ran now? Or is there like something that you'd like to make sure you added to the experience?
I would want to do it very similar. I think I've been around a lot, been to a lot of different gyms and stuff. And I think Trey's consistency, his structure, he's very like, he's very open-minded, but he's also has a way that he does things and keeps that way going. You can there's different things you can branch off from that, but he stays the course, you know. And I think in the MMA world, with MMA gyms being a new thing, some of these guys are kind of rough around the edges, you know. MMA can be a dark sport sometimes later in life, and I don't think that there's a lot of gyms that are ran with the structure like Trey's is and the consistency, you know. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get a fighter sometimes to keep that structure and consistency, but Trey does a very good job of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and it's something we see very similar in the I could say in the fitness community. When I think of like bodybuilding or powerlifting, et cetera, it's like you usually have a lot of athletes who, you know, went really far as an athlete, whether it be bodybuilding, CrossFit, you know, powerlifting, and then they decide to open a gym, you know, because of the notoriety of how well they did as an athlete, and they recognize like, oh, running a business is so different,
right?
You know, it's a totally different endeavor, a totally different thing to be good at. And some people take it more serious than others, it seems.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I think so. And it is something you got to be professional, you know, and I'm just trying to learn everything that I can right now in this time of my life, you know, just soaking it all in and trying to put on the best fights, you know, because there's also that part to where I want people to trust me when I open a gym, you know.
Is Trey, he's still fighting as well, correct?
He's still fighting, yep.
Yeah, and so you guys are both competing in the UFC. Is there any other UFC fighters there?
Garrett Armfield, my main training partner. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now in the UFC. Marathon as a whole is on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah, you're on 3-fight win streak,
I'm on
correct?
a 3-fight. Yeah, the gym as a whole in the UFC is on a 7-fight win streak, which is very freaking hard to do in the UFC, you know. But Garrett's on 2-fight win streak. I'm on a 3. My last fight got overturned, so technically I'm not. It got overturned to a no contest. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
No shit. Tell us about that.
Yeah, dude, it was the craziest thing. So on a.
We're talking like your arms up, like you won the
arms
fight.
up, like
yeah.
I won the fight. It was because of a drug test that came back positive for 19 picograms. Keep in mind, a picogram is 1,000th of a gram. 19 picograms of one metabolite of D3 something that one metabolite of 3 that'd be there if somebody took oral turinabol, which is a anabolic steroid from like the 19 freaking 40s, to where if somebody was trying to cheat, they would not be taking turinabol. But anyway, it was 19 picograms of one metabolite that came up on this test. So UFC, this had happened to many fighters before. It's happened to Olympic athletes, swimmers, gymnasts, like baseball players. A lot of people hit me up in my Instagram that it's happened to. The UFC had changed their rules to where you have to have 100 picograms of this to even be flagged as an abnormal finding, you know, because it'd been happening so much and they couldn't figure out why that was going on, because these athletes aren't trying to cheat in any way, the ones that were getting caught with this. Nevada Commission hadn't changed their rule yet. They were still doing the old rules where if there was any, then you get flagged. But my test was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And after my test, now they did change the rules to where it has to be 100 picograms. So
You're at 19.
I was at 19. So by Nevada's rules now, I would have not been in any trouble. I wouldn't even been an abnormal finding, because it's been happening so much to innocent athletes across the board, not just in MMA, you know, but I still got 4.5 months suspension, and they took my win. So now it's only a 2-fight win streak to theirs. And
Did they take your check?
They didn't take my check. I still got paid, so I'm happy about that. But now I'm 14-2-1, and I should be 15-2. I'm freaking 15-2. Like, I was not doing it. Like, I did all Thorne supplements, only the things the UFC gave me. To why it happened, I really this metabolite can be naturally derived from testosterone, and I think one gymnast said she had like some pig or something that she thought might have happened. But anyway, it can be formed from testosterone. I think I got in such good freaking shape that this thing just popped up on the test. Like, that's the only thing that I can, like, I have no idea how it happened, because I did only Thorne supplements. It wasn't in any supplement. It wasn't like,
these tests.
We're familiar with Thorne, and they make great stuff. We carry them as well.
They do such good stuff.
These tests that they've had to roll back those ridiculous standards, because the tests that they were using were so meticulous that it was I think I heard somebody explain it, that was like, you know, if your body was like an ocean, you know, these tests can detect a drop of water in that ocean. You know what I'm saying? As far as like,
then we dehydrate, like, and then I dehydrate myself and stuff like that. So it was,
which they, you know, there's certain meats that, you know, can have these metabolites in them, and it's, you know,
it's just so hard to tell. It is good that the tests are meticulous, because they're trying to keep people from cheating. Yeah. Like, I understand it. And I only got 4.5 months. I hate that they overturned my win. Like, I'm on a freaking 3-fight win streak. I'm 15-2, and I'm 6-2 in the UFC. Like, I'm proud of that. So I hate that they changed that. But there was people in the past that, for this same thing, one dude had like 12 picograms of this metabolite, and he got 4 years. Because they had no idea what was going on.
That's just a career ender.
That's a career ender, bro. Like, I mean, I am at the same time so grateful that it was 4.5 months and that they did change this rule now. Because I couldn't imagine, like, the feeling of when I got that email and I had to, like, tell my wife and tell people and all, like the feeling of knowing you did nothing and getting that. I can't imagine them being like, so you're getting 4 years and you have no control. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. What was it? I mean, especially
here's a hot take, you know. UFC used to have no testing.
Dude,
that was kind of sweet.
That's not that's
like
me.
Ken Shamrock days,
bro. Dude. People were juiced to the gills.
Did you know what that caused? That causes mental health issues after.
I believe that,
because you would take like, you'd be in such a state where you're just trying to take steroids and do all this. Like, afterwards, you would not be okay. Yeah. Already the ups and downs of fighting mess you up.
There was Ken Shamrock was like, looked like a bodybuilder. You know?
He just was.
Yeah.
I mean, he went straight to the WWE when he was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He won the first ever, didn't he? The first ever Ultimate Fighter. Like the first ever Ultimate Fight championship.
Maybe.
I think he won it.
You'd probably know better than me. I mean, he's one of those pioneers.
I loved him in the WWF. Not before. That was before they were WWE.
Yeah.
He had his finishing move was the ankle lock. You'd pick up your ankle and turn it sideways, and it looked like he would snap on.
Yeah.
Like, that was his thing, anyways. But That was with the days, yeah. And that was also like they had like Yokozuna looking dudes fighting 150-pound dudes.
Right, no weight.
There was no weight classes, dude. I mean, that's
crazy.
That was
that's how jiu-jitsu went.
The era of human cockfighting is what they would call that.
Yeah, I remember when I got my very first fight. I took it on 3 weeks' notice, and I'd never seen any UFC or anything. And it was after my freshman year.
This was your first UFC fight? I'm sorry.
This was my first ever fight, first amateur fight. I talked about wanting to fight.
Organized fight, if you will.
First organized fight.
All right.
So if I go back a little bit, actually, I'll just go back since we're here.
Yeah.
My senior year, that was my very first fight. I took this one on 3 weeks' notice.
Senior year of high school.
Senior year of high school. I was dating this girl. Here, I guess we'll watch this real fast.
Yeah.
Won't take long.
Won't take long.
I love it. You're here in the white shorts?
Here in the white shorts, yep.
Holy
God
shit.
dang, bro.
Holy shit.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He was knocked out.
He was in a coffin.
He had to have his jaw wired shut.
No.
And he was a teacher.
Yikes.
Oh,
a school teacher?
A school teacher.
At the rival high school or your high school?
No, I don't know what high school, but
How dope would that have been if it was a rival high school?
Bro, you were a problem in your first fight.
Dude.
Like, God
My
dang.
gosh.
I freaking fell in love with it.
You were pissed that there wasn't another person to fight after that.
So my senior year of high school, I was dating this girl, and she went to college, and I was still in high school. And something happened there at the college. I don't know. So, I mean, I'm not with her now for a reason, And I had to go to that college to fight this dude who's been saying things on the phone. Anytime I'm talking to her on the phone, he's in the back, just talking all this stuff. So I got to drive up there, just me and one of my friends, Joey Jaso. He's about my size, even a little smaller than I am. We drive up there, and we're supposed to meet this guy. It's just supposed to be him and his friend. I mean, there's 5 cars lined up. We're going out. We're supposed to go out to the woods. He got like 15 people deep. But I'm like, whatever. Like, we drove 45 minutes for this fight. Like, we're making this fight happen. Even in lunch break, like, Joey was throwing combos, and I'm just putting my hands up. Like, I had never trained before at all, just wrestled. So we go out to the woods, and these 15
This is before
dudes,
this fight.
This is before this.
Okay.
These 15 dudes make a huge circle, whatever. Me and this guy are fighting, and right when I open the door, he starts swinging on me. So I take him down, and they break it up. They're like, "Hey, no wrestling, no wrestling. You're a wrestler. You only can throw hands." I'm like, "Okay, well, he can't attack me right when I open the door." Anyway, we start fighting, and I drop him with the overhand right, and they break it up, and he gets back up, whatever. He says he's ready to go again. I hit him with 2 overhand rights, and he's out. Cold. I mean, he's snoring, and they jump in. They get like a couple kicks in on me, but then they break it up. Like, they don't do anything. Thank God. They could have jumped me. Like, nowadays, that a kid.
I was about to say, good for them for not for
dude. Nowadays, that could have been a very, very bad situation.
Yeah.
That's like what we were talking about with taking things too far. But anyway, they break it up. It's all good. We go back. After that's when I decided. Like, dude,
I got some here.
I think
I should be doing this. I should be doing this shit for free.
Yeah, right. I think I'm gonna be a fighter. So I go to college the next year, and I tell people about this or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm gonna wrestle, but after wrestling, I'm gonna fight. So I get injured my freshman year, and when I come back, I'm healthy. And my friend pulls my card. He's like, "Hey, you always said you wanted to fight. I got to fight in 3 weeks. If you want to take it, I'll train you for it." I'm like, "Dude, let's do it. Let's do it." And so he trains me for 3 weeks, and I'm like getting in like this crazy zone. I remember, dude, like, I've never seen any fight. I'm watching all these UFC fights, all this stuff, just learning is so much about the game. It was like a baby first learning to walk. Like, I was taking freaking everything in. It was such a fun time. And I have this fight and knocked the dude out in 13 seconds. And I'm like, guys, I'm not coming back to wrestle. I'm putting everything I have into this.
How fun, man.
Yeah.
What a story.
It was, yeah.
So did you
adrenaline
instantly
rush of a lifetime, right? Like,
Yeah.
Do you always remember your first like that? You know what
Dude,
I mean?
I remember my first fight day. I remember like the whole training camp. I remember when I went out there a week out, and me and this dude did like a 3-mile run in the streets. Like, I mean, I remember freaking all, dude. The taste of my protein shake on the fight day, like, I was just sucking in so much knowledge.
I want to go a little bit further. Sorry, Kyle. But let's compare this now to, because it's like that was the first time you're like, man, I'm really doing this, right?
Yeah.
And then you had your first UFC fight, which is like, first time, feeling like you're probably, compared it to be like first time playing in the NFL, first time playing in Major League Baseball. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best of the best.
I remember freaking all of it. I remember when I got my contract on the Contender Series. That was just a war. That dude broke his jaw too. But I remember sitting in the club after, and like, I had everybody with me and stuff, and I was drinking a little bit, but not too much. And I was just looking out the Vegas lights, and I'm like, dude, you have no idea what's going to happen in Vegas in our lifetime, but like, we finally made it here in the UFC. Like, I remember sitting there just looking and having these thoughts, and it's always thoughts of growth though. I'm always like, I'm going to go so hard during my UFC career. Like, I'm not going to mess around. Like, I'm not going to be like some of these guys. But yeah, I remember that. I remember my very first UFC fight, the feeling of all that, you know.
Do you think you're you know, I feel like you grew up at a young age in the sense of having a child, having you know, having a wife at a younger age for, I guess, than most people. Did that help you with making the main thing as far as getting started with UFC?
I think so. I mean, there's no room for distractions when you do that, you know. Like, I had to get focused. And I went through nursing school right before UFC too. And I graduated nursing school, passed the NCLEX and everything. And I had an interview, but it was on the day before my Contender Series fight. They called me like, "Hey, your interview's set for when you come back on Monday. Just let us know if you have any questions." I got my contract on on Tuesday.
The interview was Monday, and then you got
the interview when I was coming back the next week on Monday. I got my contract on Tuesday, so I called him Wednesday. I was like, "Guys, I'm not gonna be able to make that interview." Like, because I was thinking, if I have a fight comes up fight week, like, my job's not gonna let me take a week off of work, you know. So I was like, I gotta put everything into fighting, you know.
So have you been full-time fighting ever since?
Ever since, yeah. My wife and I raised golden doodles, but ever since then, yeah. And it was a
Jeff's
really
looking
hard,
for a dog, dude.
Oh, there we go.
I'm listening.
It was really
popular breed right now.
Yeah.
I just say the story like it's like nonchalant, but it was a very, very hard choice to make. You know, because at that time I only had one son, and I think my wife was pregnant, and I'd done nursing school. Like, I'd been through nursing school. I failed one time because I was not taking it serious. I went back, I graduated, all this stuff. We were planning on me being a nurse and fighting, and something came over me, and I was just like, dude, I feel like I got to put everything into this. I feel like I got to talk to Hannah about this. And of course, my wife is super supportive, but that does not mean it was not a hard decision to make.
Struggle.
It was. It was
sure.
like, we're going to give this up, and I'm going to do everything for this, and we're going to make it work.
Let's keep the main thing the main thing.
Keep the main thing
because
the main thing.
you got, you know, I mean, you got that degree in your pocket. We can pull that out when we need to, right?
Right. Yep. Yep.
So let's put all our energy into what's gonna, you know, hopefully, you know, let's see how far we can go.
Yep.
What's your ideal path from where you're at right now?
Yeah, as I say, how far are we wanting to go?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to fight for a belt. I want to be a champion.
Sean O'Malley?
Yep. But I mean, more than, if I'm being 100% honest, even more than that belt, I want to be like a Dustin Poirier. He was a champion at one point, but I want to have that reputation. Like, I want longevity.
A real hard out.
A real,
no matter
like,
what.
I want a lot of fights in the UFC. I want like a lot of main events in the UFC, you know, like but I want to be that guy that, like, you can call up. And it's gotta be just like Dustin Poirier. I mean, just like his last fight, it's gotta be one of those, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to be a staple in that, and that's where you make some good money. I mean, for Dustin Poirier to show up, he's making enough to get him through a couple of years, you know. And
when you get through those,
show up when he wants.
When you get those contracts, like apologize, you got 3 fights in a row, right, where you've done extremely well. Mm-hmm. When you get to negotiate a new contract, or is it per fight right now for you?
This was my first fight on my third contract, so we're one in on that already, which I'm happy about, because now the game for me is like, get to the next contract. Like, third contract was a big goal when I first got to the UFC. It's like, don't even really call yourself a UFC fighter till you get to your third contract, because then you're like established in the country in the company. And now it's like, get that fourth, get that fifth.
Can I ask how many more fights you got on this one?
It's a 4-fight contract, but if I win my next 2, I have 2 good outings, and they'll probably re-up it after my third fight.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So just trying to crank another couple as fast as we can.
So let's say you win 2 more fights. Do you get the crack at the title at that point? Or
I bet if I win another fight, I bet I'll be fighting for the top 15. I could fight for top 15 my next fight. One of the guys I called out is number 15 right now.
Is this lightweight?
Bantamweight.
Bantam.
Yeah, Ricky Simone. He's number 15 right now, and he lost to a dude that is one of the only 2 dudes that I lost to recently. So it would make sense. And I shouldn't even have lost that guy, but anyway.
That's what you called him out after you
I
won.
called him out because he's 15, and I called another guy out. Realistically, yeah, he's number 15 right now. Realistically, they'd probably give me another fight before they give me a top 15 guy. If I win another fight, probably top 15 guy. After you get into the rankings, you probably got 2 fights before you get to a belt, because you're 15, 4. And then you can beat like number 10, then you could beat number 5, and then you could be fighting for a belt.
That's dope, man.
Out of who am I thinking of? Who's Elle's husband's name? Dawson.
Oh, Grant Dawson?
Yeah, Grant.
Yeah.
See, he was here for a minute.
Yeah.
How's he doing? Because I thought he lost his last fight, and that was like it was like a sad loss. Like He was
like
killing
quick.
it for a long time. It seemed
Yeah,
like.
yeah, he was on a good win streak.
And he was getting in that top 15.
He was getting that top 15, and the last fight was kind of a big fight. And he lost that one, but he could pick it right back up. You know, he will have to win a couple more fights in a row now, but he could pick it right back up and be right back where he left off.
It's fun to follow these people, man. It's like I'm not a major fan as far as like following, but I really enjoy like the human element of all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't wait to root for you in your next fight. You know what I mean? Like it's just exciting. I mean, dude, it's just like the purity of the sport. It's like you really love what you do. You're really passionate about what you do, and you know it's a family affair, like you're saying, and it's like you're all in on it. It's like, dude, how could you not?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I'm pumped for you, dude.
Thank you, man.
Give me. I want to know a behind the scenes story, UFC story. Like any cool.
Everybody's got one Dana White story.
Yeah. Any
got a Dana
cool
White
stories that like maybe you could give us that are something that like people might not know about the UFC or might not know about you or anything like that.
Most of the stories that I see like happening, there's always a story going on like behind the scenes. Like a story behind the story, I guess. But most of them that I see happen like in the weight cut, man, and it's realizing that like people are freaking human, like I've seen a lot of these weight cuts. A lot of people always got an entourage with them. They need 3 coaches, this and that. They need people with ice, rubbing this, doing all that. I've been to a lot of these weight cuts by myself. When I fought in Canada, one of the times I did my biggest weight cut, I went to the place by myself. It was my debut fight for the UFC. I'm in Canada. I'm taking this shuttle by myself, and I see this guy. He's actually still in the UFC, Michael Piera. He's in there, and his manager's in there with him, and 2 coaches are in there with him. His manager's showing everybody his film. It was his debut too. Look at my guy, all this stuff. And he's a flashy guy. Got people giving him ice and all, just all the nines. And I'm just looking there, and I'm watching. I'm like, man, like, these guys, does he really need all that? He ends up missing weight in his debut. Of course he did. In his debut fight, but he's doing good now. He's having a good career now. He picked it up after that.
We're not wishing ill on him. It was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I see that stuff, and then and I see it even now, like at high levels. I'll see these guys. They go into the sauna and they'll have like an 8-minute round. They're supposed to do an 8-minute round. 5-minute comes out. How much time we got? Oh, let's just take a quick break. The coach is like, "You sure you want to do that? You want to take a quick break? Yeah, take a quick break." They step out of the sauna. Like, for me, I would never be able to step out of the sauna at 5 minutes if I said I was gonna do 8 minutes. You know what I mean? But there's just there's been most of the time I see things is just like in that weight cut, you see that people are really people. And even at this highest level, even at the UFC, they're like supposed to be toughest dudes, like some of that little.
Do you thrive on that? Like
I do kind of thrive.
Being being the guy that's like, I'm hard enough to not need the flashiness.
Not need all that BS, dude. Like none of us really need all that, even and I like to have my team around me and my coach around me, but like, there's so many guys that would even be scared to just go and do the weight cut by themselves for one day, and the day, like, they got to have it the perfect way. And at the end of the day, man, it's just you who's stepping in that.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, if I know
corners like that, though.
If I know that it's just going to be me, they're going to shut that cage, and it's like, I'm not going to have my coach, I'm not going to have my agent, I'm not going to have any of those people. Like when I'm wanting to quit and I'm doing a weight cut or I'm doing, certain aspects leading up to it, it's like, I wouldn't want anybody there. It's like, I gotta get used to my own thoughts.
Yeah, the relationship with yourself, in those moments, and it's like, did I cut corners? Did I literally give it everything I got? Did I follow everything to a T?
Right.
You got to have that. I feel like
that's why I couldn't be a UFC fighter. I'd be like, I got to get out of this sauna. It's fucking hot, dude.
8 minutes though, you can do 8 minutes. Come on.
It depends how hot it is.
That was just 8 minutes on. I mean, who knows how long he was in there before?
Are you doing any kind of like exercise and stuff in there? Or are you just chilling?
Oh, by that time I'm just chilling. Like,
so
I've done
so many
energy. I've done so many exercises and stuff, and I'm trying to save my legs. By that time,
but when you watch somebody come out early, you're like, I just got an edge on you, dude.
Yeah. You guys are probably looking for like a funny story, like Dane and then behind the scenes, like,
oh, dude, I mean,
but like, I'm still just in predator mode. Like, dude, when I go, like, even when I'm just in the sun, I'm watching people and just peeping game, dude, seeing how people operate. And
are you in like the locker rooms and saunas with the guys you're fighting before the fight?
This fight I wasn't. So actually I saw my guy this week. I saw him and he was like talking to the PI people and stuff. He seemed a little nervous to me. It seemed like things weren't going the way that he planned. Like the hotel treadmills weren't working, and I just hear him. I'm hearing him telling his story to these people, and I'm in my head. I'm like, he's like, this sounds like you're speaking from a place of excuses. Like, I mean, nobody's here to save you. Like,
he's shook.
Yeah, he seemed a little bit shook, and I told him, they're like, you can go to the PI to cut weight, but you just got to call to make sure that your opponent isn't there because reserve times. And I told him, I was like, hey man, I'm gonna be there from 6 to 8:30. That's my time that I reserved. But if you want to get in at the same time, it's all good. Like we got a job to do. Don't worry about it. And he didn't really seem to like that much. Like he didn't seem like he didn't really say anything. He just gave me a fist bump. Like he wasn't vibing with it. So in my head, I was like, I got you, bro.
Yeah.
People
you see a little bit in there.
You see, but my guy before, I did have to cut weight with him, Dan. This is actually his hat.
Oh yeah.
That
guy seems cool though.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, you know. So it's just every fight is different. Like I could tell, it's nothing against Cody either. This time that just wasn't his vibe. I could tell that Cody, he didn't like that. You know, he wasn't one that would like be able to cut weight with their opponent or whatever. But Dan, he was able to cut weight with me, you know, and we were in the sauna 2 times together, you know, and playing mind games even in that.
Gotta have resilience there.
I'm either way. Like if you wanted it to be beef, I can do beef. Like we can talk crap to each other. If you want to cut weight together, we can do that. If you want to not cut weight but no beef, we can do that. Whatever it is, whichever way you want it, I'm here for it.
That's a pure fighter, dude. It's like I don't care.
However you want
we can be boys, or I can be
pissed.
pissed at you. Whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta. I want to talk to you a little bit about fighting in general when it comes to these like weigh-ins, right? You see some extremely drama-filled weigh-ins, right?
Dude.
When people are getting like nose to nose and shit. How much is for the cameras to get that bigger payday for a pay-per-view, and how much of it is like, man, I fucking hate this guy.
You know, it just depends. Sometimes there's just the energy that's built up to where you both really have that energy to where you want to be in each other's face, and you know, like we're about to fight. Like I want to hurt you, and you want to hurt me. You know, and I don't really know. Sometimes things have been said behind the scenes, you know, but sometimes that energy just builds up naturally. You know, sometimes like just through their Instagram, whatever you're saying on your posts and the build up to the fight, then you see each other fight week. Sometimes there's a natural aura to where it's like you want to be in each other's face, and that is not drama filled. But I think I think some of the higher level fights, sometimes it's for the camera, but at the same time, these dudes want to win. Like you can say it's drama filled, they can like do all the performance and whatever, but at the same time, they're gonna go in there and hurt each other.
Yeah, at the times when it's time to fight, it's
there's
you can't hide behind any of that.
Can't hide behind none of that.
There's definitely times where I feel like certain fighters have gotten the other fighters' heads during those moments too.
For sure,
you know, you fuck with them mentally to where it's like, you know, it carries over into the fight.
It can. You better be a mental giant, or it will. You know, you got to be prepared for it, or
which
it will.
Somebody that did that, which is my next question, which is the most important question I'm probably going to ask you this whole time, was Conor McGregor. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've seen the masterpiece that he was just in, Roadhouse.
I haven't yet.
Oh, bro, you got to watch.
He's a villain.
Is it good?
Dude, you got to watch it. It's great. It's great.
It's on Amazon.
Conor McGregor being like Conor McGregor saying times 10 the whole time, bro. It was insane. And the whole thing was like fighting where you're just like, this is literally just a movie of fighting the whole time. It was awesome.
I remember there was like, they covered it like I think on ESPN, and it was on social media and stuff, where it was like on a UFC fight night, they had to like stop for a second so Jake Gyllenhaal could come in and like record some footage for the movie.
Yeah.
In the octagon.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. I need to check it out. I planned on it. I just haven't yet.
Jake Gyllenhaal shredded like you are in that movie.
Dude, he's a stud.
Completely diced. I'm like, geez, dude.
Good for him.
Discipline.
Man.
Yeah.
We're damn it, dude. Now you got me all frazzled. I was talking about something completely different. Yeah, dude. He is fucking jacked in this photo. And he's like, dude, good for him. He's like 40 plus.
Yeah.
Dude, the story I was going to tell you was we had so fun story. Like we've been doing this a long time, right? Mm-hmm. So Mike the Menace Johnson, who's another UFC fighter, he's still fighting too, mm-hmm. right? And he's been in the game a long time.
Yeah.
15 years or something like that at this point. But he was on The Ultimate Fighter back in the day, and he was shopping at our store in Springfield, Missouri. That's where he's from. And so he came in and told me, he's like, I did well. I was like, are you like in the finals? He's like, I can't tell anything, but I'm still on this show, even though the show's over.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you're in the finals. And he couldn't tell me, and so I'm just like, oh shit, and him and I used to work at Cheddar's as servers at a restaurant together.
Yeah, yeah.
But at this time, he's just coming in grabbing some protein or something. And so anyways, I was like, dude, tell me, what was it like hanging out with Dana White? He's like, bro. He's like, I got in a Lamborghini with Dana White. I'm in the passenger seat. We're cruising down Vegas Boulevard, flying. And he's just throwing money. just throwing money in the air just cause. And I'm just picking up all these bills and throwing them in my pockets, dude. He's like, I didn't have no money and I still haven't gotten paid.
Yeah.
And he just said he was just stuffing cash in his pockets. And this is like, I mean, this is probably like 2009.
Yeah.
Like it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what that was like, but I just heard a story this morning that Dana White had lost $13 million gambling one night.
Really?
He talked about it on a podcast. He's like, I don't drink and gamble anymore because I thought I lost 600 grand.
Yeah.
And the next day, the casino manager was like, no, you lost 13 million. Anybody ever heard that story?
Mm-hmm. That would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also told the story that he had won $60 million gambling over the course of a summer at one casino.
Really?
And it's like, why would that dude lie? You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I know he's big into it, you know.
There's obviously another big fight coming up, not obviously UFC, but you got Tyson and Jake Paul. Mm-hmm. Is this a real fight, you think?
I hope so. I mean, I really hope so, but will anybody ever know?
That's a really good point.
You know, I don't
How
know.
good can you act?
I don't know. I don't think that I've heard that it's going to have headgear and 18-ounce gloves. I hope that's not true. If that's not true, I think Tyson's ego will get in the way of him being able to do some skit.
I'm with you.
I would hope.
I would hope too. I would really hope, especially for his brand. Dude, don't do it. Don't do who is it?
Didn't Tyson already lose once? Didn't he come back and box somebody else?
They fought Holyfield or something.
Yeah,
but they were not supposed to be. I don't know.
Or is it just a sparring type thing?
Something, I think. I don't know. I didn't see it.
Just a money grab, which we're all cool with. But I don't want to see him lose to Jake Paul.
I just want, if he's going to, I want him to look decent. Like Jake Paul could still beat him, and Tyson look like decent. That would be, I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, if it goes the distance, And
I had someone try to tell me they thought that the Woodley fight was completely staged. That like Woodley, signaled to him or something like that, and I was like, dude, that was a knockout. What
was a knockout? Yeah, I don't think that was completely staged. No. I don't think Woodley trained the way he needed to train for that fight. I think people really didn't take him seriously before then, but I think they are a little bit now. I
hope so.
The dude's an athlete. He has tons of freaking money, and he spends it on training. Spends it on the best coaches.
I think he's clearly working hard.
Yeah. So, and they are natural athletes. So,
would you take that fight if he wanted to fight you?
Yeah, I would take the fight. Why not? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
bro. Cha-ching.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he'd have a hard time getting to me.
Yeah.
I fought a lot of big dudes in the gym. So, yeah.
Is that as far as like your fighting style? How would you describe it?
Heavy hitter. That's how I think I describe it, heavy hitter. And I'm really trying. Everybody's always telling me not to throw so much power out there. I just need a touch, and the power will be there naturally. But anytime I'm in there, I'm trying to take your head off.
Tell that to the your first amateur fight video we saw earlier. Heavy-handed, dude. That dude locked his legs out in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
As far as like your game goes, what are you focusing on yourself as far as improving goes? Like, where's the part of your game you really want to improve on?
I do want to improve on. We were just talking today. We're gonna sit down and really make a real legitimate game plan for like the next year to 5 years. And what does Miles John's top 5 look like? But I want to work on volume. I do want to hit a little bit less hard, and just try to touch these people. And believe that my power will be there when I'm just throwing my combos and stuff, stay in people's face a little more. And yeah, cardio will be part of that. Just moving forward and taking these dudes out when I can see it's a different level. I'm getting to the point now in the UFC where like I felt that my last fight was a different level. I think going in there on 2 weeks notice, losing 30 pounds, all that had an effect on my cardio, and I didn't have that like last little switch to just get him out of there. But I did register in there. Like there was a switch that clicked in my head that's like, he's not on your level. Like his shots aren't landing like your shots are, like you're a different level. So now in the future, I want to, like, when I feel that, I want to take your ass out. Like I want to take the risk to take you out.
It's like blood in the water in those moments.
Yes. Are you, when you guys are talking about like increasing cardio, are you testing like VO2 max or like lactic threshold or anything like that?
I have.
Doing off that?
I have done my VO2 max, but I did it in Dallas. And so I have numbers for that, but I haven't tested it with Marcus yet. We haven't done that yet. No.
So when you're going into a fight, is it you're just basically like doing a mock fight, like sparring to like try and see where you're at, or how?
Yeah, it's mostly that, and then I do I do my strength conditioning sessions. We're just trying to always push up the ante on that, push the pace on that. And
Are you primarily running, or like, what are your conditioning sessions usually?
My strength conditioning, I would consider with what I do with Marcus at Elevation Fitness.
Yeah.
And that's like,
shout out Marcus at Elevated Fitness, by the way.
Yeah.
We play some of your videos in here.
Yeah. We do like the skier. We do the Aerodyne bike. We do
those suck.
Yeah, those suck, dude.
Absolutely suck.
I hate those. We do a lot of like explosive and like rotational stuff. That's what I'd consider my strength conditioning, like explosive but cardio push. And then my long distance runs, I would consider like my a little bit more of my like I don't know.
Long distance cardio. So basically it's something that's going to increase.
And I'm always pushing myself on that. One thing I had to learn with that is like, I don't like running. I got short legs, and I'm not built for long distance runs. And sometimes I'd compare myself to some of my opponents. Like the dude I fought, Dan, has insane cardio. He'd be running like 12 miles, and I'd go out that day and run like a 6-mile run and feel like I like push myself super hard. And sometimes that could be a mind game. But obviously I won that fight. So I had to like learn, like, don't compare yourself with anybody else but yourself. Yeah. And when I do that, then I can really push myself, and I know when I'm pushing myself in there, Yeah.
When you post your training on social media, is there any kind of a mind game to that too? Is there like strategy for that as far as what your opponents see?
A little bit. I mean, when they do, like, it's just my normal training, but I know when they see it, they'll be like, this dude's an athlete. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, if you think not, then you're.
Yeah, they're also like,
I
most people
like a watch of like, you ran 20 miles that day. You know what I'm saying?
Some people do that. I don't post my runs because I know that's not my strong point.
Right.
But like, I fought guys who
dude,
are
you know what
that.
you should do is like sandbag all your training, put all your training up there, making it look like it's not very good. Like, not feeling good this camp, and then just roll in there and just beat the shit.
Subtle things like you throw a bag of Wendy's in the background. You know what I'm saying? Just plant some things. You know what I mean?
Might want to be careful giving these dudes too much confidence.
Yeah, sandbagging.
That's a powerful weapon.
I love it, man.
Well, dude, so you're from Kansas City, right?
I'm from Newton, Kansas. And then I moved to Dallas.
Railroader, huh?
Yeah, railroader, yeah.
I'm from Derby, so yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I grew up playing Newton and
heck yeah, and all the things. You guys beat
wrestled
us
in Newton a lot,
wrestling.
Yep.
Beat us in everything except wrestling.
Oh, really? I mean, wrestling.
Say if you guys want to, test it out wrestling wise.
Bro,
I wrestled Brady Heineker from there. Do you know Brady Heineker?
Oh, Brady Heineker?
Yeah.
Is that Kyle or Kelly's cousin?
Kyle.
Or son?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Kyle and Kelly.
Kelly. You're not that old, Kyle.
Well, Kelly's one of the coaches at the
Brady was, I think, the coach's son. I think he was the coach's son.
Yeah. So Kelly is a coach there. Coach Ross.
Kelly Heineker is his name?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sure Brady is his son. Yep, because he was a coach's son. Yep.
Kelly and Kyle. Kelly was a 3-time state champion for us. He was a year older than me.
Oh, nice.
But I wrestled with him my whole life.
Yeah, Brady was really good, too. We had on and off. He beat me a lot when we were younger, but I beat him twice in high school. I just saw him the other day, too. He lives here in Kansas City now, so.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is he still wrestling or fighting or anything?
I think he's coaching.
Cool.
Wrestling, yep.
Very cool, man. Do you like the coaching aspect? Is that something that brings you any joy?
I do love coaching. I haven't I love kids coaching. Yeah, I just love coaching altogether. I coach my kids' wrestling team too.
That's cool, man. Is there a certain age that you're really excited about coaching when you're done, when you hang up the gloves one day?
Yeah, I mean, all the ages. I feel like I'm getting my experience with the kids right now, but I want to work with older kids and adults as well too. I'm just excited. Like, as my kids grow up, I'll learn the stages as they grow. With them.
I got one more question for you on Kansas City fitness, fight community, fight scene. Who is a name you feel like we should be keeping an eye on?
Trey Ogden, Garrett Armfield. I mean, those are obviously the guys that are in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Is there anybody coming up that you feel like, man, like we should keep an eye on them?
I think that there's a lot of really good talent coming up. There's this one kid, John Wick or something. I don't know, something Wick, and he's had a couple fights for Marathon. He's like 17 years old. His kid's a freaking beast, like so experienced already. Like, not experienced, but you can tell like he's just so comfortable in there already.
Wise beyond his years,
yeah,
if you will.
And then there's other kid, Jonah Andrews, who's one of my main training. Well, he's not really one of my main training partners. When he is there, then I like to grab him and use him. But he's one of those guys that if he really locks in, he can do something with it. But I'm not sure he knows his potential yet.
Sure.
And then we got other young guys like Oliver Mace, who I can just tell is a young amateur, 8-0. I think I think he's 8-0 as an amateur, and he just has the juice. I'm always looking at these young guys coming up like, Do you got a little juice? Like, can I see you in the big show? Like, can you go out there and can you win the fights when the lights are on, when it matters, that are going to take you the right way in your career, you know? And I think we got some guys like that. So
the skill sets you're talking about, it sounds cool, but it sounds like there's a lot of mental that goes with this as far as a young age, like removing kind of those limiting beliefs, like you can do this.
First, you got to be able to fight. Like first it is the skill set, I think, and then the mental comes. So I'm like, I got my eye on these 3 guys. Like I see, they can go. And Spangler's another one I got my eye on. This dude can end fights.
It's a sweet name too. Let's be real.
Strangler. Like, yeah, he's.
Oh, yeah, love it. Yeah,
that's a name.
Zach Scroggins, but he's one of the higher level pros. I'm sure you probably already know of Scroggins. So he's a little more established. But some of the younger guys that I mentioned, you got to have the skill, and then you got to have the mindset to stay consistent. I've seen so many guys who end up in the freaking funeral yard of MMA fighters because they just lose their mental, can't stay consistent for that long of a period. Like, this was a long time. Like, I'm finally living to where, like, I can pick this fight up, I can go make a nice little check.
Yeah, you're at 10 years in.
Family. Yeah. But it took a long time to get there, and these guys just derail in that time. Like, they think that time is just like never ending. Like, you can just replace it, and they take months off or this off, and they take so long to fix the things that they want to fix. Like, everybody wakes up and they're like, if I were to just do this, I would be on. Like, I'd be on one. Like, if I were doing this, I'd be a beast. Like, we all know what we could be doing.
Oh yeah.
But they don't do that shit for so long that they end up fading away. So
that's not just fighting, dude.
It's not just fighting.
That's life in general.
That's life in general.
Yeah, I could have been
and
all the
but fighting's a short career, so you really see it like. You really get to like see it firsthand play out. Like, I know so many guys who are there, and then you got to stay consistent like that. You got to really decide that this is what you're going to do, and then you got to be able to close the show. You know, you can be good, you can decide this is what you're going to do, but if you don't go in there when the lights are on and close the show, like, I mean, you're not going to make it in this sport. It's going to eat you up. You know, there's going to be someone that can close the show that uses you to do it.
Throwing it back to that time in Canada when you were saying like you were getting started and you saw that guy miss weight. Right, he missed weight, but he was, he had all the entourage with him and so forth. The game recognized game factor of that. Yeah. Is there anybody, like I said, is there somebody out there that like, man, their discipline, like the way how hard they train, that you're like, man, I'm trying, like they inspire you? Is there somebody out there who's like training habits is next level to you? Yeah,
there is a lot. Honestly, even if it's like a little bit cliche. Like I saw Sean O'Malley at the UFC PI when he was cutting weight, and there's not a lot, and I don't know how much weight he cuts, but just an aura about him, just something about him that I was like, yeah, this dude is legit. Like, he does have some people around him, but he's not like, you don't need these people. Like, he's you can just tell
he's a professional.
He's a professional, and there's been a lot of guys that I've run into like that are in the UFC, but man, there's a lot of guys that make me tell myself also, like, you're not the same. Like, you can be like now, and now it's switching that mindset over. Before it was like everybody in the UFC is not the same. Like David Goggins says, now it's becoming uncommon amongst uncommon men. And I'm truly believing that I'm stepping into that. Like, these guys can be in the UFC, but with that, like, without being too arrogant, like, they're not on your level. Like, you gotta believe that. Like, you are stronger than 70% of the roster in the UFC. You belong in the top 30%. And I'm really starting to see that and believe in that.
Dude, I'm pumped for you, man. I think that's a great ending point right there.
Yeah, dude, that was good.
We're super excited to watch you, man, and rooting for you, man. Super appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today.
Man. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Brother. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man.
This is awesome.
We have one question we ask every guest, and that is, with us being a barbecue city, and everybody's got an opinion. Someone's coming to visit you. You're taking them to one barbecue joint, all of Kansas City. Where are you taking them?
I'm actually having a birthday party this weekend, and what did we get catered? Dang, I'm losing my train of thought on it. Give me some names of them.
Jack Stack.
Jack Stack. We got Jack Stack.
Of course it's Jack Stack.
Is it the one? Is it the one? I don't know.
It could be. I mean, Jack Stack's pretty popular.
Great, dude.
Pretty popular.
Yeah.
What part of town?
Probably the one I eat the most.
It is. Yeah. I live in Waldo.
Okay.
About like 5 minutes from here, really.
I'm thinking like, is there a Jack Stack around there?
Bro, there's a...
what's the good barbecue around there?
We got it catered already, so we'll see if it's
There's
good.
a Q39 close by at 39th Street.
I've heard of Q39.
That place is dope.
That's good.
But yeah, man, you're going to love it, man. Jack Stack, we love it. We think it's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Cool, bro.
So give everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram, Miles Chapo Johns. And yeah, you find me on Instagram, you find me everything else from there. Yeah, we got Golden Doodles. Me and my wife breed Golden Doodles. Doodles in the Rough is that. And then if you're looking for grass-fed beef, me and my father-in-law, We do grass-fed beef, so our next order is going to be in August. So by the quarter, by the half, by the whole cow,
Let's
however
go.
you want it.
We'll
Yep.
be hitting you up on that.
Yep.
We're fans.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Miles
Thank
Johns,
you again,
everybody.
brother.
Thanks so much,
All right.
bro.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you.